I don't want to scare people, but if generation rent gets to retirement and they don't have any equity in property and they haven't owned a property or paid any of it off, it is going to be bedlam. I don't think many people know about this, but you can get £7,500 completely tax-free a year. You don't even have to tell HMRC about it, up £7,500 a year by renting out a spare room, because it helps with the housing crisis. The best advice I've ever received is risk what you can and don't risk what you can't. Go out, enjoy your life, spend your money, travel. I'll be honest, I think that's really bad advice. It's like, you can have a home and rent it out and go travel and it will pay for your travel. My mission is to solve the housing crisis. So I'm going after a mass audience and I'm not going to stop.
Let's talk today about the housing crisis, okay? So welcome back to another episode of The Money Honey with me, your host, Rosalia Tilly. I am so happy about today's show because I finally get to meet my guest, at least virtually, but we've just been Instagram friends up until now, as it usually goes, right? I'm always on Instagram, engaging and networking, and she's always a big supporter of my content. She's always on it. She creates great content herself. But my guest today is really passionate about solving, her business is helps with housing supply and the other and sort the housing demand. So I really thought that this would be a super important topic to cover, given what's going on right now in our economy and in the housing industry. So I couldn't be more proud to introduce you all to my beautiful friend, Philly, the property ladder lass. How are you, Philly?
Hello, Roz. Hello. Thank you so much for having me today. And yeah, like you say, we've been kind of table tennising on Instagram and socials. And I think what you bring to the industry is obviously such a buzz and positivity. And I'm like, the property industry needs more of this. It's like my brand's to bring fun, clarity, optimism to home buying. And I'm like, buying a house should be those things. Shouldn't have all this doom and gloom.
Yes, that's exactly what we stand for. I always said when I launched Manuka Media that the mission for this business is to help make property and finance more human, more relatable, more accessible to everyday society. And I live and breathe this mission, not just through my clients who pay me to help them, but through people like yourself who I want to put out there into the world on the platform, because we said we want property to be more accessible. We want money to be more accessible to everyday society, not just the elite who can afford it. And that's why I'm so proud to bring a show like this to the audience, to the internet, because it should be people like you that go viral. You are the one that deserves to be seen and heard because of what you're doing in the industry. So I am going to ask you to do an intro of your businesses, what you do, how you do it. Don't stop yourself. Go for it, because I want everyone to know what it is that you do.
Nice one, thank you. So yeah, ultimately on an absolute mission to solve this housing crisis. Like, it has to happen. There has to be new routes for people to be able to afford a house and get onto the property ladder. So I founded Cocoon because the first home is like a cocoon that sets you up for life, financially and otherwise. And essentially no one's doing this in the UK yet, but essentially we match highly compatible people so that they can get on the property ladder together. So think of it as like maybe a Bumble or a Tinder, but so that you're matched for the purpose, not romantic, financially, so that you can get on the ladder together. There is such a multiplier effect in property in terms of what you can afford by leveraging your resources. So I'm really speaking to single people. I'm speaking to people who don't have banker mum and dad. And like, when you look at that, you're like, wow, that's a mass audience. That is the majority of the population. And I know you touched on it, like, it shouldn't just be for like the elite. I know when you start a business, it's kind of easier to have a niche audience with a lot of money, because then you don't need that many customers. But I'm like, my mission is to solve the housing crisis. So I'm going after a mass audience and I'm not going to stop. And yeah, that's essentially what we do. So we're developing software My background's marketing, not software, so I'm partnering with the best of the best to do that. Partnered with Innovate UK, who are the government's innovation agency, and working with a really great company called Nerdle to get the software in place, the sign up forms already on cocoon.co.uk, and we're going to get people onto the property ladder. And you know what? Dating apps were weird 15 years ago. And the more I look into it, it just makes sense. Collaboration is the best way to solve the housing crisis.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm so here for it. I mean, yeah, I met my husband on a dating app, as in he obviously wasn't my husband on a dating app, as he's now my husband. Not being on the dating app. So yeah, we were both on a dating app and we met. I started a business online. I wouldn't be able to do it without doing like the internet. I found friends online. So yeah, like it makes so much sense to find the partner that you're going to buy a home with online. Like
exactly. And I think for this generation as well, like it's not like co-living is so normal in the rental world. Like most people are in shared homes with multiple people. So it's like, why not just find one person you get on really well with? And like the more we're kind of looking into it, it's like some people never work from home, like teachers or doctors or work in Tesco's or what have you. And then some people always work from home, or like some people have pets. Some people absolutely love animals. So if you're just matched on compatibility, then you can really get such a good setup and a home that you love. And it's it's not your forever home with your husband or your wife and your dog and your kids. It's just so that you can one day get your forever home, so that by building equity.
But some people, yeah, I totally get that. But some people don't have plans to get married and have a husband or a wife and a dog, and their forever home is perhaps co-living. That's how they want to live. Some people have relocated from another country and they've come here, and they might not be working here for the rest of their lives. They might be here for 10 years or 5 years. So there's just so many living arrangements, and your two options are, well, three options: stay at home if you've got someone who you can, like your parents or your guardian. If you haven't got that, go out and rent. And if you can't do that, buy a home. Those are the really only three options, aren't they? So It's very limited.
Yeah, and like you say, like all the kind of socio-economic trends just point towards this. Like you say, people are choosing not to get married or getting married later in life. The cost of property versus the cost of salaries, like every trend, even it's really good for the environment, obviously co-living, rather than everyone kind of buying a single dwelling. Like people don't really want a one bedroom or a studio anymore. People want to be able to get a bigger home that they can grow into a little and then sell ideally for a profit, which
100%. I get that. Yes. Yeah. Now, the bank of mum and dad, as you mentioned, is that's when grandparents or parents help a younger member of the family. And they usually gift the loan. And apparently the UK average is 27,400. I've researched this. Apparently that is the average gift. That's still quite a sizable gift. Like that's £27,000. So really, unless your parents are wealthy and got loads of equity, you might have parents and grandparents, but maybe together they might only pull through 10k, you and still that's not enough to get on the property ladder. So what can they do through Cocoon?
So through Cocoon, you're multiplying your resources with someone in the same boat as you. So you're finding someone we look at life stage, preferences, budget, legals, and obviously location is a big one. And you're matched with someone, obviously you meet them, we're going to hold more events where you get to meet people in real life, and you're matched on compatibility with someone in the same boat as you. So like you say, if you don't have gifted money to me, like I bought completely solo, no help externally in my 20s. And I had a really good career and a good salary. And it's like, I feel like since when was having a home such an out there dream? I feel like it's a fundamental human need. So you should, like in the olden days, be able to have a pretty normal job and be able to buy somewhere to live. Like, I don't think it should be so wild now. So I worked, as a lot of people do, but just diabolically hard to be able to do it on my own. And I feel like it should be broader, that people can go and have a job that they enjoy and then be able to buy somewhere to live for that. So it's just trying to like level the playing field and create a new route for people to be able to.
Yeah, I so appreciate that because um, apparently data that's been circulating um, is that only 28% of Brits own their home outright. Um, and then a survey also found that 13% of UK adults live in social housing, such as a council house, and another 15% rent privately. So actually, it's a very small percentage of the British market that end
Yeah.
up buying their own home because it is so unachievable.
And when you say the percentage of how low it is for how many people own their home outright, like I don't want to scare people, but if generation rent get to retirement and they don't have any equity in property and they haven't owned a property or paid any of it off, it is going to be bedlam. Like if you think there's like a wealth inequality or like cost of living crisis now, generation rent will become generation aging and in poverty. Like all the numbers point towards that. It's like what people take home in their pension now is about 1,100 a month. So if you've had a house paid off, you can get by. If you're paying rent, and obviously the cost of everything goes up, if you're paying rent, you're not, I don't see how people can afford life. And then that social housing number will go up, but how do you think people pay for that? Through taxes. So it is so important that people have an option to be able to get on the property ladder. It's a reason I care so much about this. I don't want generation rent to become generation in poverty.
Yeah, and where did this come from? Like you woke up one day and you were like, "Oh my God, I'm going to fix it. Philly's here. I'm fixing this." Where did it actually come from?
I've always been obsessed with property. I used to say I want to be Sarah Beanie, who used to have a Channel 4 program called Property Ladder, hence Property Ladder Lass. She actually
Yes.
started following me. I was like, she either wants to copyright infringe me or she wants to be my mate.
Oh, yeah. You
um,
need to copy. Have you copywritten this? Like, have you got it trademarked?
No, Cocoon and CoKind are trademarked. I've got a separate. I kept my kind of personal brand, Property Ladder Lass, which happens to have the same letters as my actual name. That's kind of separate too, and then Cocoon and CoKind are trademarked as the business names.
I would
Um,
definitely get a trademark for Property Ladder Lass.
okay, we like the name. All right, we'll do
Yeah,
that.
definitely. Well, just in case, like, I mean, look, I'm now wearing my branding hat,
Yeah.
and you know, I'm very protective of brands. So if you are going to be known, and that's what you're known for on Instagram, and that's how you trade, like, as in that's how you show up. If you don't have that trademark, then you might have to rebrand to Coca, even though you
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
well, I've always been known as that, but you outwardly, yeah, get it
yeah.
trademarked, get it out there, even by the domain. You have no idea how many people trademark something, don't buy the domain, but then you know when you've got a
Mm,
trademark or a registered limited company, there are companies out there that buy that data.
we'll
They
find
know
it.
that you've registered, and then they'll go and buy a domain and they'll try and sell it to you for thirty
So
thousand pounds.
cheeky. Okay, you've given my to-do list, add Property Ladder
Yes.
Lass onto
Yeah,
my
anyone listening, if
my
you have a
IP.
name like I'm the Money Honey, for example, I've
Yeah.
trademarked that, and I've also bought the domain for Rosalia Lazara, because someone could quite like if I become, let's say if I get really big, not that I'm planning to, but let's just say like my name
You're on the
becomes
right
quite
track.
big, someone could buy the domain Rosalia Lazara and then try and sell it
Mm,
for like £30,000, and once they've bought it, that's it. So yeah,
yeah,
always try and protect your
really
branding.
good point. I've bought the domain for Cocoon in like all English speaking countries. So I want to start it in the UK because obviously there is a property crisis here. There is a lot of countries as well, but obviously property industry is quite specific per country.
Yeah.
And I want to perfect it in the UK and then look to scale it out globally. So I've bought the
Yeah,
domains in other countries. It's trademarked, registered, protected, but I'll do it for my own name as well.
I love that. Yes. So back
Um,
on track. So yeah, where did the dream come
yes,
from?
so
Like, where did, yeah.
I've always been obsessed with property. I find it fascinating. I love that you can add value simply by having style. Um, and my background was actually in marketing, beauty industry marketing. I was at L'Oreal for 10 years doing marketing. And when I had the opportunity to just kind of the freedom to do what I wanted to do, it was like if I had the choice of anything, I want to solve this housing crisis. And I'd actually had this idea for a while, but it's become more and more of a need. I think, particularly in the last few years, we're kind of at this pinnacle of like house prices are just going up. and it's just it's, cost of living and housing crisis are more buzzwords in the media now. Like, people are more aware of it. So I'm like, the market conditions are right. I've had this idea. I've got this opportunity. Let's go.
Love it. I love it. And who have you helped so far? I know you're still building the platform and everything, but is there anyone that you have already helped?
Yeah, so I wanted to prove that the concept is revenue generating and that there's an appetite for it. So most people say, like, develop a minimal viable product, get it scrappy, get it out there, which I agree with to some extent. But when it's so important as buying a house with someone else, I'm like, I want this to be done properly and really well. So now I've got, like, Innovate UK and software support and everything around that. But to prove the concept works, rather than just launching a kind of scrappy app, which I've made in, my shed or something, I held Get on the Property Ladder Pub Club. So that was like a first time buyer mixer event where people could come along and learn all about getting on the property ladder, but in a fun environment. So it was a pub club. There was popcorn. We played a game, a would you rather game. So, like, fun ones of, like, would you rather live somewhere really lively or quiet, but then also educational ones, like, would you rather have a 40-year term or a 25-year term? And then we had experts there, some of which you actually introduced me to. Incredible people. So UK property solicitor, and we had Rafi. So we had mortgage advisors, we had financial advisors, and we had conveyancing solicitors who could then answer any of the questions. So while people are like, oh, I don't know what card I'm holding up, I don't know if I want a 40-year term or 25-year term, the experts could then advise, and then obviously make connections on the day. And it was just to show that there is this appetite for a first-time buyer mixer to meet people in the same boat. When they booked their ticket, there was like a multiple choice question of, like, what's the most important thing on your first home? So then when I did, like, a little welcome speech, I was like, right, people with the same colour sticker chose the same thing in the multiple choice. They're your people. Go speak to them. So I think that kind of collaboration, and, like, yes, it's starting kind of small just to prove the concept works and to get traction. Got some great photos from the event. So that's in a small way. And then I've started a business, because obviously this is like the dream. Then I started a business called CoKind, which is more of like a cash flow business. Obviously, software is going to take time to develop and make it, the best thing that it can be out there. At CoKind, we focus on sorting out the supply side of the housing shortage, and that there aren't enough homes, or in fact, a third of homes in the UK have 2 or more spare bedrooms. So it's not just that there's not enough homes, so there's a lot of homes with empty bedrooms. So essentially we go in and we renovate these spare bedrooms into beautiful hotel-like spaces, and we arrange really good lodgers to get in. So that means lodgers get really affordable rent in, like, a beautiful location, beautiful setting, and the homeowners get to have this income really easily. It's I don't think many people know about this, but you can get £7,500 completely tax-free a year. You don't even have to tell HMRC about it, up to £7,500 a year by renting out a spare room, because it helps with the housing crisis. So we've just made that a lot more accessible for people. And originally, I started this business only 5 months ago. And originally I thought it was going to be for baby boomers, because they own a lot of the housing stock. So that's kind of like age 60 plus. And I was like, right, they've got all the spare bedrooms, maybe their kids have left. And then actually my first customers have been first time buyers with spare bedrooms. And it's what I was saying, to our generation, co-living isn't so strange. So I actually need to tweak the marketing and make sure I'm going after more of the first time buyers. So yeah, essentially that one's been more, it kind of creates cash flow quicker, and it helps the housing crisis from the supply side, whereas the other one is the kind of dream that I'm building on every day, and obviously doing stuff on social to build an audience.
Oh my gosh, I love everything about this business idea, your journey, your mission. It makes so much sense. I mean, I've even got ideas for you. There's things that I would do with it. Like, it makes me want to.
Let's talk. I mean, someone actually said to me, have you, because we rekindle spare bedrooms, they were like, have you thought about renovating rooms into podcast studios, and then people can use their spare space as a podcast studio if they don't want to do that leap to have it? I think there's different tax implications of that, but I love how creative.
So there's homes. Yeah, so for filming days with my clients, when they want to create their content. They don't often want some of them, most of the time I do go to their house or their office, but sometimes if they're looking for like those nice slick brand images and they want a certain vibe or setting, we have to look for venues. Now, if you don't live in a house of your dreams, like a luxurious house that you would like to see yourself in, we go on a website that's similar to like the Airbnb version for finding finding venue spaces. So this is not like an office building and a boardroom director's room. This is like you can hire the entire house. So these people, like we went to this one guy's house, this family's house, who he's a dentist, he's a cosmetic dentist. Let me tell you, every feature that you would think about having in your dream home, he had it.
Mm-hmm.
He had a wine cellar with a glass floor that you can see before going down there. He had amazing windows. He had a secret cabinet in the kitchen that takes you through to the larder. Like, he had such an amazing house. But whilst he was at work by day, we got access to the entire home, usually just the downstairs rather than upstairs, but we got access to the entire home. And actually we did a filming day for Jazz, who you know as I introduced her to you. We did a filming day there, and she was by the piano, on the sofa, in the kitchen, in the garden, and we used the entire house. And that was a great way for him to be at work, earning great money as a cosmetic dentist, but by day, in the meantime, whilst his home is empty, he's hired it out as a venue, which is absolutely amazing.
And obviously he's done very well for himself, but it just shows like diverse revenue streams are so important, like especially, you know, with AI, for example. I lost my job suddenly and I'm okay because I practice what I preach and I rent out rooms in my own home. So diverse revenue streams are going to become more and more important. I feel like I really like Daniel Priestley. He gives really good business advice. And I'm a big fan. And I was on a webinar the other day and he was like, I think roles are going to become more plural. It won't be like back in the day where you work for a company for years and years and years. That's the one job you have. He's like, you might have a speaking opportunity and then you might do some other side hustle that you enjoy doing. Then you might be writing a book. It's more, there's going to be more diversification in revenue streams. And I think if you can get early in that, then you're going to be ahead.
Well, I was just going to say there, I already was doing that before it became, like, before Daniel Priestley came out with his book. I'm not saying he took my idea, but I'm just saying he was like in Australia first and then he came over to the UK. But what I'm saying is, before I discovered any of these books or gurus or coaches, I basically have always had a day job. I've always had a 9 to 5, and then I've had a side hustle. So even when, like, for example, I graduated, actually during uni, I've started this during uni. Whilst I was at university studying, I became a student ambassador, and I got paid to take people round the university campus.
I did the same.
Right? Okay, so that was another way to say, well, actually, I go here, so I'm going to make money out of being here. Then I also got paid to teach other people. So my degree was in Italian and Spanish. So whilst I was studying, I was doing some private tutoring and like doing school visits as well, helping GCSE and A-level students. So that was my first business. So when I graduated, I started an Italian and Spanish tutoring, private tutoring business. And I was tutoring retirees who just wanted to learn Italian, who like go on their holiday and they want to be able to order and have a conversation, right the way through to GCSE and A-level students who just weren't getting enough attention at school or needed that level up. So I was making money, and literally I would go to work during the day and then at night I would work that second job. But not because I couldn't pay the bills and because I was like, oh my gosh, I need to work 15 jobs, but because it diversified my exposure, my income, my network. I then even was like speaking at events. Even if I spoke for free at events, you know, today people are like, oh, she wants to get, you know, yes, I am a paid speaker, but I've been hustling for 12 years, and I've done a lot for free. So yeah, excuse me if I've developed myself to a level that is paid worthy. I'm
paying for your experience, not for your time.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
and
what
all those kind of roles you've said there, like obviously now you coach people and about speaking and training and strategy for personal branding. I feel like a lot of those earlier roles you've mentioned have led to that. Um,
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think when I was at uni, I sold accident insurance in a call center, and the hours were like 5 p.m. till 9 p.m. So it was always after lectures, but before night out started at uni.
Yeah.
And it's those early skills of why, might be why I'm more comfortable now on this is my debut podcast. And being able to just get on the phone to anyone, it just helps you be able to build connections. And
Yeah.
I think obviously you started that very young, and anyone who knows a little bit about investing knows the younger you start, the better. There's such a multiplier effect and compound interest. Generally, the younger you start, the better, because your best friend in investing is time, and things the idea is that things go up over time. So again, like if we've got a whole generation who can't get on the property ladder, which is a huge life investment, there's going to become a future like of the haves and the have-nots based on who's got on the property ladder. And I
100%.
just don't want this wealth divide to get absolutely diabolical. I want to help as many people as possible get on the right side of this housing crisis.
100%. I am so there with you. I really love that. And I encourage everyone listening. I'm going to do this for you, Philly. I'm going to put it out there. Like, if you're listening to this and you want to be a part of that vision, part of that movement, you need to be reaching out and offering either your time or money to Philly to make this mission happen. Like, whether you're a sponsor or a volunteer, or like, that's why I recommended my two clients to Philly, because she was running an event which I so gutted I couldn't make. Are you doing any more events coming up?
We will be. We'll do a launch event for the app for sure. And then there'll be future ones. Obviously, people need to meet in real life. There's going to be all this criteria of who's good to live together, but it's going to come down to vibe and who you get on with. So we'll be doing more events of people obviously meeting and fun things like that.
Yeah, I love that. I want to be involved. You tell me how I need to be
You're
involved, and I
invited.
will be there. I know, not just invited. I want to be active. If you need
Involved.
help,
Brilliant.
yeah, I want to be involved. I mean, I'm a small business, but if there's any way I can sponsor or drive it, or whatever it is that you want me to do, I'm there with it. I'm there for you. But yeah, to the audience, so to my audience here listening, this is your opportunity to be a part of a movement, something really far greater than just like your job. So, if this is something that you subscribe to, there's so many ways you can help. Don't feel like you have to give over your life savings. It might just be sharing the podcast, right? Sharing this episode. It might be giving Philly a follow, yeah, on Instagram and engaging with her stories. That's going to help her push this out further. It might be on another level, recommending people or partnering or sponsoring. Like, there's so many ways that you can help causes like this. So I do encourage you, if you're listening to this and you feel fond of this idea, please do try and take some action. So Philly, if this crisis could be solved, okay, and I feel like if anyone's going to do it, it's you, what would you do next? Like, let's say you've solved it, it's done. Then what?
What's coming next? Wow, that's a question. I mean, like the reason I've been able to dedicate myself to this fully, I've left the corporate world, is because I haven't maxed out my life. Even when I was on a good salary, I'll be driving around in a 20-year-old car. So I'm actually a bit of a country bumpkin. I'll have a donkey sanctuary and rescue dogs. That's, if I manage to solve the housing crisis, I think that'll be a kind of like life achievement. And then I'll go and have some nice, Cotswold cottage or something.
And then you could, yeah, maybe you could then start the rescue business, right? I can
Well,
see you having.
rescue dogs need houses, don't they?
Wow, that is so. You're such a yellow person. Have you ever done the color personality, like the
I
blue, red,
have.
green?
Yeah, I was yellow.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. I'm not yellow as much as you, as in I was stronger in the red and the blue, but I know I dress in yellow and stuff, but I've got a lot of it because everything that I do from the red and blue, if anyone's ever oh, hello, little fella.
Hello.
What's his
It's
name?
a little guy.
What's his name?
He's called Sully.
Sully, how you doing?
Yeah. His dad's at a festival, so I'm looking after him today.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
He's a
Everyone,
proper little lap butt.
for those not watching on YouTube and can't see the video, a dog just popped up on the screen. I was like, oh, hello. So yeah, wants to get involved. Yeah, what was I saying?
Yellow people,
Oh, yeah.
red.
So the color personality chart, I can't remember what it's called. So color personality chart. You basically just answer like a few questions, and then it tells you which out of the four, so red, blue, green, and yellow, which one of them you are. So, and it's really important in business and sales and in your job, even knowing like what color your personality is with your boss, like what is your boss's personality, because the art of being able to communicate that person's language is really, really important. So I think I'll do a separate video about that actually. But yeah, you're definitely a yellow. And just to describe, so Philly, the reason I thought she was yellow, and in a very small nutshell, this shows that she's talkative, positive, sociable, energetic, and engaging, which is why I relate to that, because I definitely feel like I'm all those things. But she's very green as well, because she's thoughtful, warm, approachable, empathetic, and calm. Would you say that, Philly?
I'm very calm. In stressful situations, people are like, it seems like you don't care because you're so calm, but I know that you care because of all the work you do, but you're just calm. That is true. These
Yeah.
help having the dogs around.
Yes, so I would highly recommend any professional, business, entrepreneur, or if you're employed, doesn't matter, go and get your color personality test done, because it really shows you as well. I use that in my clients' like branding strategy too, like what kind of business that will light you up, because that's what makes you like truly yourself, and how you show up unapologetically and authentically. Like your business is very much driven towards like social economic change and social impact. Yeah, so that's why you thrive
Yeah,
under those colors.
100%. And it's good to collaborate with people who are different colours to you, because
Yes,
then you bring different things to the table.
exactly, because like if you had a business with just red people, like it'd be intense, man. Like it would be chaotic and you would bounce, like you would clash. And so it's really nice to work with, like you say, people of the opposite color or complementary colors. And that's good to know as well, especially in sales. Like you need to know what kind of person are you talking to, because what information they might be interested in and how they wish to receive it is going to be different to how you naturally communicate. So yeah, that was a side note. Anyway, Billy, we have come to the end of our wonderful chat, and we're wrapping up now. So, what message would you like to send out there as your closing remarks?
Amazing. I would say the best advice I've ever received is risk what you can and don't risk what you can't. And when I was given that advice, I broke it down to I won't risk my house. And I think for younger generation, my advice is like to get on the property ladder with what you can afford in any way you can. It will set you up for the future so much better. And, it doesn't have to have an island kitchen and be your forever home. If you get on the property ladder, it will build equity. If you buy the correct sort of home, it builds equity to set you up for the future so much better. And that's what I care about.
Love that. You know what? On that, risk what you can and don't risk what you can't. We got on the property. So my husband and I bought in 2017. And that was our way of pulling resources together. So it was just, obviously we were still dating. We were boyfriend and girlfriend, and we'd only been together for a year and a half, but we knew, like, by the time we moved in together, we were together 2 years, because we met in 2015. So 2 years into our relationship, most people might say, oh, why don't you want to rent first together? Don't you just move in together? Yeah. And I was like, no, because I'm not going to waste my wealth renting with a boy when I can actually build my wealth with a boy. And then if we don't like each other, we just split, but like at least we're building our wealth in the meantime. So we moved in, all things went well, thankfully. We've been together now for 10 years. And this year, actually last year, So we had the house since 2017. Obviously, COVID happened, etc. So it was only until last year that we were able to have enough equity where we had a decision. Do we upgrade our home and keep up with the Joneses and go and get a 4-bed house? I mean, I'm in a 2-bed cottage at the moment. The next step up even to 3-bed was extortionate. Like it was double our house price. Just one extra bedroom was double our house price. So we couldn't afford even one extra bedroom. Do we go and live somewhere cheaper? Do we move somewhere else into the UK if we want that 4 or 5 bedroom house? Do we want to get 2 cars? No. So we've decided, and I did an Instagram post about this that went viral, like just a little trend. I don't know if you saw it, but it was like, literally, we've decided to stay.
You look happier. I decided to enjoy my house.
Yeah, I told you guys she was a great supporter of content. I don't know how you remember, but yeah, it was like, you look happier. And I was like, thanks. We've decided to stay in our small cottage and not get a bigger mortgage, not get a bigger home, not get a second car, because we like our lifestyle. We like that breathing space. And what we've done with the equity, so as Philly's saying, in the future, if you buy the right home, the equity will grow. What we've done with the equity instead is draw it out and buy an investment property, which will give us another additional income, even if it's not an additional income right now, because the rates, the profit on a buy to let isn't exactly miraculous. But in the future, we'll have another asset there and a pension plan, perhaps. So yeah, it's being wise. Like, my cousin's renting at the moment with all her girlfriends, and it's like, you're paying someone else's mortgage. Like, you're paying someone else's.
Renting is still paying a mortgage. It's just somebody else's.
Exactly. So I don't get it. Like, she's like, yeah, but I just want to live in London and get out. My sister, I'm like, but it's not yours anyway. I'm not judging. I just don't get it, because I would rather.
Yeah.
I'm not.
And I see a lot of content about, it's old fashioned, this dream, get on the property ladder, go out, enjoy your life, spend your money, travel. I'll be honest, I think that's really bad advice. It's like, you can have a home and rent it out and go travel, and it will pay for your travel. And it's like, I'm not saying you shouldn't live in the now, but be content with what you have and set yourself up for the future financially.
Yeah,
Because you never know what's going to happen.
I agree with you. I really do think that the generation today are living for the here and now. And then when you're sick and old, and you don't even have to be that old, you could be sick in 5 years' time or a year's, whatever happens. It's not even just about being sick, but what's your backup plan? You can't pay for your health and your stability and your security with your holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love a holiday. Like, don't get me wrong. So, I mean, look, we've come to the end now, so we'll have to see the reaction from our comments from people. Tell us what you think. What do you think about the housing crisis? How do you think it can be solved? Have you been saved from it? Have you been able to get yourself back on track? We'd love to know in the comments. Is there something that you did? Was there a plan? Was there a scheme, a system that you followed that got you into a really safe, secure, and financial stable place? Is there something you're struggling with and you've got a question? Pop it in the chat. Maybe my network, people might see it, might be able to help. So don't be afraid to communicate and reach out. We always welcome comments in the chat of the video, but we're also on social media as well. So thank you for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure to have Billy be a money honey today, and we'll see you all on the next episode.